Carolyn Leavitt's press conference today was a disaster. Her job is to go out and lie for Donald Trump, and while she certainly does that, she doesn't do it well, because she has made things a lot worse for this administration by fighting with reporters, snapping at them, being unable to answer questions. It was a terrible press conference that we are going to get into, and you are going to want to stick around for every single clip of some much-needed pushback that Carolyn Leavitt got. But before we get into it all, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, like I said, these reporters are finally starting to push back against Leavitt, and finally, it comes at the right time, pushing back on the lies she's telling about the murder of Renee Good in this clip right here.
Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Nolan spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
This administration has no humanity, no care. They don't take any of this seriously. They honestly think it's a joke. And speaking of which, Carolyn Leavitt was also caught trying to explain away Donald Trump's lack of morality, lack of care about what's legal or not, or just blatantly right or wrong in the next clip that we're going to check out. But these people don't care. They're laughing at us. They think it's funny, and they want to show and set an example for ICE, the manifestation of Donald Trump's worst impulses. That is what ICE is. This is a Frankenstein's monster of Donald Trump. They want to set the expectation that you too don't have to care, that you can act with impunity, that you have full immunity. That is what they want you to believe. And then honestly, if you get caught, we'll just make something up, which is what Carolyn Leavitt did here after Trump got caught.
My question is, President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
I believe you're referring to the president's interview at Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview. Obviously, there was not audio or video. The president was simply joking. He was saying, we're doing such a great job. We're doing everything the American people thought. Maybe we should just keep rolling. But he was speaking facetiously.
And then one to ask you about the president's interview with Reuters. You said that he was joking about canceling the elections, but Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation, and only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question in that way.
Thank you, Caroline. Senator.
Oh, so it's just funny now. That's the excuse that we can fall back on. That's what we can say when Donald Trump gets caught plotting his criminal takeover of our country. Donald Trump wants to cancel the midterms, and we just say, oh, what fun. What if Joe Biden had said that? What if Barack Obama had said that? I know we can't keep going back to that because the answer is always conservatives would lose their minds. But seriously, what elected official has ever joked about canceling elections? And honestly, Donald Trump doing that, it's not a great sign for Carolyn Leavitt, Mike Johnson, John Thune, for where these midterms are actually going. But Leavitt, she thinks she can save the day with Donald Trump's new health care plan, which she can't actually explain.
The president says he wants money to go directly to Americans so they can buy their own insurance. How exactly would this work? And can the president assure Americans that this will be enough to cover their health care costs?
So this is the second principle in the president's health care plan, lowering insurance premiums specifically and ensuring that that money is going directly back to the American people and cutting the kickbacks that then raise those premiums. So this plan, once put into legislative text and passed by Congress and sent to the president's desk, will stop sending big insurance companies billions of an extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice through, you may have heard it be referred to as health savings accounts. Whether that ends up being the actual name of such accounts, we'll have to see. Again, Congress and the White House are going to work together to put this plan into action. And then secondly, the Great Healthcare Plan will fund a cost-sharing reduction program for healthcare plans, which will save taxpayers at least $36 billion and reduce the most common Obamacare plan premiums by over 10%, and that's according to the Congressional Budget Office.
But 20 million Americans in recent weeks have seen their healthcare costs soar. Can he assure them that if this plan is put in place, that they will be able to cover those costs?
If this plan is put in place, every single American who has health care in the United States will see lower costs as a result. They will see more transparency. All of these proposals that are within the Great Healthcare Plan are incredibly popular with the American people, and they will impact everyone, not just a small fraction of those who are within the healthcare marketplace, but every single American will continue to see their costs go down. And I will note that they already are, and with respect to prescription drug prices. When you look
For a while, the plan was 2 weeks away. Now it's, I guess, going to take 2 weeks until Carolyn Leavitt can understand it or explain it or talk about it. There hasn't been much of that, and there certainly wasn't much of that in response to the other big announcement that Donald Trump made today, that he wants to go to war with Minnesota. This was always the goal. Donald Trump wanted to have some figure, Tim Walz, who he could say was a failure and a fraud and ripping you off, and then he wanted to follow it up with some racist trope. This is kind of how Donald Trump constructs his culture wars, his political wars, the racial element. It's the Somalis and Tim Walz, and we got to go after them. And then, of course, he floods mainstream right-wing media with images that are distorted, lies that are being told, and saying, oh, don't you want to support the troops, though? The good old ICE agents, the people who are shooting your fellow citizens in the streets, don't you want to support them? And now Donald Trump has it all baked together, and he can say, well, we got to go after Tim Walz, and we got to be racist. So let's make sure that we send as many jackbooted thugs in there as possible. And now Donald Trump's really got it cooking, and Fox is thrilled about it. But Carolyn Leavitt doesn't know how to explain it away. She doesn't. She doesn't know what to say when asked these questions. Like, why is Donald Trump calling for war?
President Trump threatened invoking the Insurrection Act today in Truth Social post. I'm wondering what his tipping point is. Like, what would it take for him to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Look, that's only a question, frankly, Reagan, the president can answer. But the Insurrection Act is a tool at the president's disposal. As you know, it has been used sparingly, but it has been used by previous presidents in American history. And I think the president's Truth Social post spoke very loud and clear to Democrats across this country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations.
So only Donald Trump can know? Shouldn't there be a more clear, demarcator? Shouldn't there be a better idea of when Donald Trump can just declare that it's martial law time and he's sending the military after whoever he wants? Shouldn't we know that? Shouldn't there be a little transparency? This is the most transparent administration in history. It doesn't seem like that, though. And it is why last night we saw Governor Walz make an appeal to this administration, calling them out in this video that he posted. And I want to take a look.
We cannot give him what he wants. We must protest loudly, urgently, but also peacefully. Indeed, as hard as we will fight in the courts and at the ballot box, we cannot and will not let violence prevail. You're angry? I'm angry. Angry is not a strong enough word, but we must remain peaceful. Second, you are not powerless. You are not helpless, and you are certainly not alone. All across Minnesota, people are learning about opportunities, not just to resist, but to help people who are in danger. Thousands upon thousands of our fellow Minnesotans are going to be relying on mutual aid in the days and weeks to come, and they need our support. Tonight, I want to share another way you can help. Witness. Help us establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. You have an absolute right to peacefully film ICE agents as they conduct these activities. So carry your phone with you at all times. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution. The third thing I want to say to you tonight is, we will not have to live like this forever. Accountability is coming at the voting booth and in court. We will reclaim our communities from Donald Trump. We will reestablish a sense of safety for our neighbors, and we will bring an end to this moment of chaos, confusion, and trauma. We will find a way to move forward, and we'll do it together, and we'll not be alone. Every day, we are working with business leaders, faith leaders, legal experts, and elected officials from across this country. They've all seen what Donald Trump is trying to do to our state, and they know their states could be next. And that brings me to the fourth thing I want to say tonight, Minnesota, how incredibly proud I am of the way that you've risen to meet this unbearable moment. But I'm not at all surprised, because this is who we are. Minnesotans believe in the rule of law, and Minnesotans believe in the dignity of all people. We're a place where there's room for everybody, no matter who you are or who you love or where you came from. A place where we feed our kids, we take care of our neighbors, and we look out for those in the shadows of life. We're an island of decency in a country being driven towards cruelty. We will remain an island of decency, of justice, of community, of peace. And tonight I come before you simply to ask, don't let anyone take that away from us. Thank you, protect each other, and may God bless the people of Minnesota.
I understand why in this video, Governor Walz is trying to appeal to the administration and trying to ask for them to work with him because he's a real leader who believes in governance. But I think we're just so far past that, asking for the Trump administration to stop, asking for Kristi Noem to stop, imagining that these people are serious, good faith actors. It's just not the case. We have to take this into our own hands. That is the place that we've gotten to. We need to be in the streets. We need to be fighting back. And we are going to be covering that all on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.